on almost like your own private yacht, but without being very formal. That's how you define 180 degrees from ordinary.
From Santorini to Turkish coast and exploring the Hellenistic or the Roman history by sailing on your beautiful ship is just amazing.
Welcome back. My name is Janet Bava, and I'm so excited to have you all here with us at our Miami headquarters as we record today's session of Winds of Change. And yes, we have invited him back because he continues to behave and contribute to the podcast in amazing ways. Welcome, Chris.
Well, thank you, Janet. Thank you for having me again. This is fantastic.
I love it. I love it. I love it that he hasn't actually stood up and started walking around yet. I mean, to have Chris seated for this long, I think it's pretty amazing. So thank you for coming back.
You're welcome.
And we're so excited because we have here with us today Patricia Gonzalez, who is our head of marketing at Windstar Cruises. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes. I figured, Patricia does a lot behind the scenes. And so we are unveiling what happens behind the scenes at Windstar Cruises. And part of that is bringing the people who make the magic happen. And I know you, like I, have not been here for very long. And we've had people like Carolyn Spencer Brown and Peter and Stain who've been here for a very long time. So to hear from your perspective about what you feel that makes Windstar special is what we're here to talk about. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career history?
Sure, absolutely. So I actually started my career on the advertising agency side.
Okay.
And that's something that since I was, a little girl, I've always loved. I think it's so exciting, fast-paced world and environment. And there was something for me that I really wanted to experience a brand, right? So not just be on the ad agency side. So after being with the agency, I ended up I got into travel. So I've always been in travel. I worked for a resort company known as Sandals for a little bit.
I don't think I knew that, actually. That's cool.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun fact.
And then I ended up actually going into Royal Caribbean. So with the Royal Caribbean group, always kind of specialized in the premium luxury brands. So with Celebrity and Azamara, and that's something that for me I think is really unique. It's not the mainstream type of brands.
Yes.
And, so I was there. I started in 2011 and did a lot of work over there. And then actually, I don't know if we should share this story, but I actually called you because at one point, having been in the cruise industry for so long, I was kind of ready for a change and wanted to do something a little bit different, possibly, still in hospitality, but, more
You were in Orlando, I remember.
I was in Orlando, yes, and, wanted to kind of get a different perspective, and, we've known each other for a long time, and you convinced me to come back to cruise, which is an amazing decision.
Yes.
And so I started here in December of 2024.
Amazing.
Or 23, sorry, and
Yeah.
a
So
little over a year.
I want to kind of just also give a little light to that story because I'm in Orlando. I've flown in from LA and someone was driving really, really fast from Miami to Orlando because we were heading over to Sea Island.
Correct.
And I remember telling Chris, okay, when is it that you're arriving? I'm going to go have coffee with Patty, which I haven't seen in a very long time, just to catch up. So when Patty's telling me that she wants to get out of the cruise industry, and this phenomenal professional who is such a marketing guru is telling me that she wants to leave cruise, I, by all means, by the end of that coffee, I think I was halfway through the coffee and I was like, you're not leaving cruise. You're going to come and work for Windstar. And I remember then joining Chris and saying, we just got a head of marketing. and we just found our next head of marketing. And so since then, that was like about, a year and 3 months ago. Patty's been doing a lot of work because what you do in marketing is one, learn about the guests that sail with Windstar. So I want to talk about our Yacht Club members and what you find, because I know you've sailed several times and you've done a lot of research and questioned them on a lot. So I want to learn about what you feel are Yacht Club members, how special they are, because you've worked with brands that have loyal members, right? I mean, you have brands that have very, very loyal members. What makes them so unique and special? What do you think makes them so unique and special?
That's a good question. So, and I just recently got off the windsurf.
Yes.
So I was able to kind of talk to a lot of our guests, and really what makes it special is just the mindset, right? So, they are very young at heart.
I love that.
And typically, the guests that sail with us are usually around 60 plus.
Yes.
But they're, just there to have a good time, and they're very casual. Again, they're ready and want to experience the finer things in life, but without the formalities. And I think that's what makes it really, for me, having been with other brands, I was able to see that firsthand, right? And it really comes to life in every single touch point and experience on the ship, whether it's interaction with a crew member, whether it's, you're on a shore excursion, the entire experience is just really special. And that's what keeps them coming back, right? And that was part of the research that we did. The crew members, it's not a selling point, but it always draws our loyalty members back.
Yes. And so young at heart, I love that. And I think that's the reason why when our guests come on board who are millennials and younger, right? Like I know Nathan from the O2 was talking about how, his daughters made friends with, our past loyal guests. And so it is a mindset. It's not an age. It's a community of people. Once again, we talk about community.
I mean, it's really the point many first-timers guests say when they come from their first cruise. They would even say, I would have never thought I'm a cruise person, but I did a Windstar cruise. I can't wait to go on my next one.
Yeah.
And I think that's that mindset, and I think that's what guests are really enjoying, is that laid-back, casual atmosphere, and the element of fun people have on board. They're just not uptight, they're really relaxed, and it's just like-minded.
Yeah.
And I think travel just combines that. So I agree with you.
And Chris, you talk a lot about our influencers that we invite on board to tell the story of our brand, but our Yacht Club members are actually our greatest influencers.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear on that, because I know sometimes, we're so connected with the Facebook group and our Yacht Club member Facebook group, and they're like, oh, we have, influencers on board again. And, sometimes they appreciate it, sometimes they don't, but what I want to tell all of our Yacht Club members that are listening here is that you are truly our greatest influencers, and we love and appreciate the influence you have on us, because many times we're in meetings talking about their feedback, talking about what they are, saying about, what's happening on board. We absolutely hear when something's going wrong, but we hear a lot when things are going great. Like, I mean, how many emails do you get, Chris?
Yeah, so we it's actually really interesting, and you're touching on a point which is, I think, 180 degrees from Ordinary is like, and I'm getting so many letters from our guests about how much they enjoy Windstar cruises, their last trip, whichever ship they were on. And when I started here, I was really surprised, because I'm used to getting letters telling me something went wrong, right? I was like, and then we would go into recovery and help out our guests. But no, you're sending us the letters of what you love the most, and please continue to do it. For those of you who've done it, you know what comes when you send me a praise letter. It's really helpful, because then we know what we are doing right, and then when we have those conversations with Patty or with operations, we know, okay, we can't change that, because that's really a beloved part of the product.
Yes.
And so that's really, I mean, you're so right, Janet. The biggest influences we have are our Yacht Club members. They steer us, and we listen to them. And to me, if I'm going back to my early days in cruising, and I've worked for somebody you have worked for in the past, and Larry Pimentel, if you look at that, right?
Yes.
I mean, that is a leader in cruising who's always said, you got to lead from the ships. You're going to have to be on board to learn from our club members, from the guests, from the crew, on how things are going.
Yeah.
Because then it can feed marketing and help us
I love that.
successful.
Exactly. And well, I wish I could be on every single sailing. And I will say, like, I definitely appreciate all of the feedback that our loyalty members share on social media.
Yes.
Because that's the only way we can continually, in real time, just hear everything. To your point, if it's good, if it's bad, that's how we adjust things. And our team, I know we all read everything and keep it coming, because it's very helpful.
And it's true, right? Like anything in life, you're never gonna get it all the time right. We are not getting it all the time right either. So we make mistakes. It's okay, but we're waking up in the morning, all of us, to say, let's make this a better place today.
Right.
Let's make this a better product, and let's look after our people. That's our guests, our crew. we're not waking up any different in the morning, but yeah, we still make mistakes, and then learning from you and in terms of how we can do better and what we do really well is, to me, this is a drive.
Yeah.
This is what pushes me.
And somebody who's also done marketing my entire career, and Patty and I have that in common, and we talk about it all the time. Our guests are the motivation, because what you're doing in marketing is trying to attract these guests to consider us to come and sail with us. So you have to be very in tune with who that guest is, so that your marketing, right, clearly describes this brand and can match the right guest to this brand.
And I think that's the beauty of social media now, right? Because before, you really had to go out and do surveys and do all of these types of things. Now you have a real-time connection to your guests, right? And the people that we want to attract. So I think that's really important, and it's just an evolution. Like, I remember when social media started, I was in college, and it was just to connect friends. And now it's just so much more powerful, like you said. Everybody is an influencer. Everybody can share their experiences, and I think that's amazing. I mean, you're an influencer now too, right?
Yes. I'm learning a lot, apparently. So no, but it's true, right? Everyone is an influencer in that regards.
So you asked our guest, Patty, you were doing some brand research, and you asked our guest what sets Windstar apart. And you had a lot of themes that came out from that research. Can you talk a little bit about the themes that came out that people talk about? And these are the group of people that you interviewed were Yacht Club members and people who didn't even know who Windstar was. Right. So for those listening in who've never sailed with Windstar, what are those themes that everyone consistently says that sets Windstar apart?
So, and it's interesting because, again, there's different perspectives, right? So the theme that consistently came up for Yacht Club members was the crew.
Yeah.
And to your point, the mystery cruise, it doesn't matter where you go, as long as you're, who you're with is what matters. So for them, I mean, the crew was like the top thing. And then in terms of prospects, it was really about this concept of you're on almost like your own private yacht, but without, the formalities and, being very formal. So it was like that casual luxury. And I think that's how you define 180 degrees from ordinary. Like, think about it. You're in a very small private yacht type of experience, right?
Yes.
But you can be as casual as you want, right? So that's what makes it really nice. And then obviously the destinations, right? Just the sheer size of the ships allow you to get into a lot of places that other ships don't go to. And that was really attractive to the prospects.
And there were certain destinations too, I know, that kind of really came up as just the way that Windstar delivers these destinations are truly one of a kind. They're truly 180 degrees from ordinary.
Exactly. Yep.
And what are those destinations?
So definitely Tahiti.
Okay, there you go.
Tahiti was a big one. And again, I think, even the lines that I've worked with before, Tahiti wasn't as prominent in such a big product the way that it is with Windstar, and just the delivery. I know I still need to go to Tahiti, and I'm hoping that's where I'll go in May.
Oh, you were trying to go there, right?
I was trying to chase a ship.
Yeah, that's
actually, that's right. Patty was supposed to be on the Cyclone cruise, but she didn't make it because the ship rerouted and
couldn't keep up with you guys in the Marquesas.
No, we went off. We went our merry way to Marquesa.
So Tahiti, and then I would say the Mediterranean as well, just because being there all year round and having so many different perspectives and so many different experiences, because you have the different time of year when you're going. So those are really kind of the big themes.
Amazing.
That came up, yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned that you were just on the windsurf, and you've done the Winter Med cruise, but there's also a cruise that you did with your husband last summer, I believe it was. Can you talk a little bit about your trip?
Sure. So we did the Gaelic Explorers in July, which was amazing. It was on the Star Legend.
Okay.
I've been on the Star Legend twice. I love that ship too. And it was incredible. I think
the destination, just for those who don't know,
Ireland and Scotland.
Ireland and Scotland.
Which was incredible. And now I have a newfound appreciation for Johnny Walker and Guinness, which I would have never been into until I did that trip. It was amazing. But yeah, I think it's again, like, it felt very personal. It was like our own ship, all to ourselves, but we were still able to connect with a lot of guests. And one of the most special moments actually was one of the bartenders on Star Legend was on the wind surf sailing that I was on a few weeks ago, which was incredible. And so, it just shows those stories. He remembered exactly my order from July.
Wow.
which is, again, I think it just tells the story of what makes our people so, so special.
Well, I mean, we've such a high retention rate at Windstar, like the crew keeps coming back, right? And because we want to take care of them. And I mean, even after COVID, everyone came back. Virtually everyone came back. And I think that's exactly what then happens. Is like, it doesn't matter which ship you go to, you got to meet the crew members from other trips on that ship at that point in time due to rotations. And that creates a very unique atmosphere.
I love it. So we're coming up at the end of our segment for this episode. And one of the questions that we'd love to ask our guests is, for those of them listening in, we've talked a lot of itineraries here today with you, Patty. If you had to recommend one itinerary and one itinerary only to a first timer, what would that itinerary be?
And I know there's been a lot of really good answers with Greece.
Yeah.
Greece is a good one for me too. But I honestly would say the itinerary that I did in the Caribbean.
Okay.
And it's surprising because I know you think, oh, Caribbean, been there, done that. But I think what's cool about Windstar is you're able to go to these islands that others don't go to.
Right.
So that was my first. I did the women's cruise
Yes.
in the windsurf, which was amazing. And being able to go to Joss Van Dyke and do, the beach barbecue, the deck barbecue. I got a very different experience being able to do that.
Yes.
And like I said, even though it's Caribbean, it's close to home.
Did you use the marina?
I did not.
Oh,
actually.
gosh. Oh, my
I was so
goodness.
busy that was the
You were actually
only one
working.
thing I
Okay.
did not get to do. But we did do a catamaran cruise with the entire group, which was a lot of fun, and our guests had a great time. Even one guest said that they did the scuba diving on
Yes.
the catamaran, and they said that the waters was prettier than the Galapagos
Wow.
where we went. So I was pretty shocked by that.
Okay.
So yeah, I would do Caribbean.
Okay, now that wasn't the last question. I actually have a last question for you.
Okay.
And can you tell everyone listening, what are you wearing? You're wearing the cutest outfit ever.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
So actually, this is, so we have a relationship with a company called Stitch Lab, and they are a platform for Latin American designers. So what's
Yes.
really interesting is that they'll bring in Latin American designers that are not in stores. So the relationship that I like, first of all, it's a lot of resort wear. And what I like about it is that, you can't buy it anywhere, and it's not cookie cutter, it's not mainstream like Windstar. So I think that that's a
Beautiful
very strong
material
connection.
and fabric.
So this outfit is actually by a designer named Sana, which
Okay.
is Colombian.
Ooh.
So
And actually, one of the itineraries that I know our guests love is going to Cartagena in
Colombia,
Colombia.
yeah.
And which is also Panama. And I know yesterday I was at the event as well, and we met some friends from Costa Rica, and they were so excited. They didn't realize that we actually explored so many of the destinations in Costa Rica that, they're like, oh, did you go to Puerto Limon? And I'm like, no, we actually do very soft adventure,
In Puerto Limon, yeah.
Costa Rica, which is absolutely amazing. So even people from Costa Rica themselves or from Colombia, they don't realize that us as a cruise line, how many destinations we visit in those regions of the world. I love our cruises around Latin America. And so if you have not, tried one of the naturally Costa Rica's, beautiful, beautiful destination in Latin America to visit.
absolutely.
Well,
Can I go next? When can I go?
We'll talk about that. Yes.
yeah, so thank you, Patty, so much for listening. Listening in for visiting us here today in our beautiful
course.
offices. And I'm sure we will be welcoming you back. And I know you're heading off now to Stitch Lab in the Miami Design District. Have fun. And again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
Patty,
me.
for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome back for this second segment of our episode, and I am so excited to welcome our next guest, which I met in Turkey, and so she's flown very far to join us here as we are at our Miami headquarters. And so today, Chris and I are so excited to welcome Figen Ayan.
Welcome.
Ayan?
Ayan.
Ayan, thank you.
Welcome, Figen. So
Well,
love
that's
to
so
have
good.
you here.
Well, thank you for welcoming me in this beautiful office. I love it.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
we, you and I met in Turkey during our 40th year anniversary. And
Oh, okay.
I had the pleasure of meeting you, and I had no idea how long you had been working with Windstar. And the moment I spoke to you, I said, we're starting a podcast very soon, and I would love the next time that you're in Miami to come and visit. So thank you so much, because you've made this a reality. We talked about it and we manifested it, and here you are.
Exactly.
So for all of them, all of our readers and listeners and viewers watching us here today, can you tell them a little bit about yourself, a little bit of who you are, and how you came across Windstar so many years ago?
Well, I'm a dedicated and passionate person in the cruise industry. I have worked as a port agent, tour operator, tour guide, which is the way my world crossed with Windstar at the early 2000s. And then actually I dive into the port world, where I worked in different ports in Turkey, like Kuşadası, Bodrum, Antalya, and lately at Galata Port Istanbul, where I was the chief port officer. So I'm now flying with my own wings, with my own company. But Windstar had always a very big impact in my life for many years. When I was guiding in Kuşadası, Ephesus was really the place where I decided to become a guide. And when Windstar Cruises started adding Bodrum, we said, Bodrum? Who would go there? And you were anchoring in that time, and I heard that the passengers were swimming around, and I said, really, they want to swim in the sea I am going as well? And it was a surprise for me, the whole concept of adding Bodrum, and Bodrum later on has become one of the leading destinations in Turkey as well. So you were really a pioneer in just discovering new destination, and it was a pioneer for us as a tour guide as well, to stretch our limits and just discover the passengers, the beautiful castle, the medieval castle, and the lovely city. So working at the port later on of Bodrum, so it was very meaningful, I would say.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what we do as a cruise line. We go and explore new destinations, and we bring guests who maybe would not have that in their itinerary. We talk about it all the time with our Greek islands itinerary. People love Santorini and Mykonos, but where else can we take them? Rome, people love to visit Rome and Venice, but where else can we take them in Italy? And so with Turkey, we're actually talking to Figen to help us figure out, because we have a large population who's explored Turkey, and there's so much to do in this region of the world. So for those of them listening in who haven't visited Turkey, why is Turkey such a special country to be explored?
Well, I have to say that, first of all, I was born and raised in Paris, but in my 20s, I said that I needed to go back to Turkey. My parents are Turkish. We were going there for summertime, but the country is so rich culturally, for its gastronomy as well. It has been a crossroad for so many civilizations from early ages, for very different faiths as well. So Turkey is naturally, organically, and geographically a place where so many places are just crossing each other. And I have been raised in an environment where you're embracing all the cultures, all the religions. And I felt you could find it in Turkey. Moreover, when I was guiding, what I like saying to the guest is that when you're just traveling in all the coast of Turkey, it's just like your history books are taking shape. Or your biblical stories about St. Paul, about St. John, is just like verses, and all of a sudden it's taking shape, and you just really can feel where St. Paul has preached for the Ephesians, for instance.
Yes.
Or you can just see also all these, like I said, cultures crossing each other, and how we are impacting each other. Traveling and tourism was existing in that time through trade. So that's why it's so special to be able to go to some unknown places.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It is true. It has such a rich culture, Turkey, right? And for the history buffs out there who really like to explore, that's the destination to go to, honestly. But it doesn't really stop there to me. I think going to Turkey is like the hospitality
Yeah.
which exists in Turkey and the people, how open and how welcome they make you feel. That's second to none to me.
Yes.
I mean, going to Turkey, and I grew up in Austria, and we visit Turkey as a holiday destination frequently. It's like it's a whole different level of friendliness, of welcoming, and just really nice to be in this destination. So that's what I love, the combination of the people and the history and what they can show you.
Yeah.
I think, Figen, that's really well said.
And the thing which is important as well is that it's not Turkey itself alone. I mean, Patty was talking about Greece. The Greek Isles and Turkey are not dividable.
No?
You and there were no borders. I mean, when we're talking about water, there are no borders.
No.
So going from Santorini to, passing to a Turkish coast, and exploring actually the Hellenistic or the Roman history by sailing on your beautiful ship is just amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just
Absolutely
spectacular.
amazing. Yeah, and I love that because there's also a lot of modern and developed areas in Turkey, right? You have so
Yeah.
much history, rich in culture, but I mean, you have phenomenal restaurants and you have beautiful hotels and then you have the beautiful waters. It's an absolutely amazing destination. And I think, one of the things that I love to do is get controversial and ask controversial questions. But we had Patty, like you mentioned, and she talked about surveying our guests, and we just reviewed a survey which the grand majority, like 90% of our guests, they want to visit Turkey. They have it on their list. They love it that we have it and offer it as a destination. But you still have some folks that are like, no, I'm not really interested in going to Turkey, or, I don't want to go to Turkey. And so what would you say to those folks that, have probably maybe a misconception about Turkey, that don't want to go to and visit Turkey?
Well, I have to say honestly that I live this misconception and this prejudice, I would
Yeah.
say, before coming here to America. I mean, a lot is going on right now in the world, where actually people are talking about who voted to who, or
Yeah.
it has become very political.
Yeah.
And before coming here, I told myself, is it going to be different to come to America? Because, Christopher, you said that Turkey is a welcoming country. America is such an amazing welcoming country as well.
Exactly.
The people I guided for Windstar in 2000, I still have connection. They invited me, and when I started guiding, I said, they're just saying it to be kind.
Yeah.
Come home. And I tested out. And I went to their home, we had dinner, and we watched at the pictures that we had taken actually at Ephesus. So, I mean, this welcoming and this hospitality is fundamentally present in America as well.
Absolutely.
So I have been really affected by all the things going on in the newspaper, and I said to myself, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. I'm not going to be welcome. And at the border, I waited a little bit longer, and I said, that's the reason. I was a little bit scared.
Yeah.
And we will go to Dallas after that. And I said, Dallas, I think we shouldn't go there. And I met somebody in a shop, and we started discussing, and she told me, why are you reluctant of going to Dallas?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we are voting to. We want to show our people or the people around the best place and the best part of our cities. And I realized, and I shake myself, and I said, I mean, that's exactly what we should say to the people who have fear or are reluctant of going to Turkey. I mean, the political life is something else, and
Yeah.
we have to keep in mind that these ships are so safe
Yeah.
and they are going in places that all your team are just assessing, checking, and they can leave. I mean, you
Yeah.
just take off the lines and you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really something we take in a lot, right? We always assess where we are going to put our ships, and if it doesn't make sense, if it's not safe to go, then we're
We
just
don't
not
go.
gonna go. And that's the beauty of a cruise line. We can deploy our ships where our guests would like to go, number one, and
Right.
of course, making sure that our crew and guests are safe.
And
But
welcoming.
and welcoming, of course. But it's so true what you're saying, Figen, because it's that travel unifies. It doesn't
True.
split. It's a unifier because you are people who want to welcome travelers, or you are with people who like traveling just like as much, and you're getting new impressions which also widen your horizons.
Yeah.
So travel does all of that. It educates you and it educates the population. It's just such a almost like healing
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
True.
approach in these times of lots of frictions and what
Yes.
have you. So I actually think maybe it's the medicine, right?
It is the
It
medicine.
is.
I love that.
It is the medicine.
I love that.
And we gotta take it, right?
Travel
And
is the
just-
medicine of the times, and I know we had
It is.
Carolyn as well, and she mentioned, I'm disconnecting from TV and the news.
Yeah.
And maybe it is the traveling with Windstar
traveling with
is the
Windstar.
medicine.
And that's so true though. And you come back and you're relaxed and
You're
you're calm
rejuvenated.
and you're rejuvenated, and that's what it does, right? And Turkey is a very special place.
It
I mean,
is.
I've been many times in Turkey in my childhood, and one of the things I think is somewhat true for Turkey in particularly is because it's such a big country, right? There is so much to explore, and at least the last few times I've been there, I have never felt like, oh, there is this huge crowd or there's this over tourism happening. In Turkey, it's so easy to go off the beaten paths, and for us as a small ship cruise line, it's really what we're trying to do. And you can be, really exploring something new. And it's a great country to do that.
There's a lot. And I would like to add another thing is that, the passengers think that the itineraries are done at the last minute or that they are going 1 week before, that is planned. But from the port perspective, port management perspective, the itineraries are done 2 years, 18 months or 15 months in advance. So it's a huge security, safety, technical assessment that the passengers don't really know about. But there's the kitchen side is just like, when you're going to a super restaurant, you have the meal in front in the
beautiful, yeah.
plate, but there's so much preparation at the back. And cruising is exactly like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we are
Yeah.
just talking about the itineraries of the next 2 years,
Yeah.
not next week's. I mean, so it's.
It is. There's so much preparation that goes behind, so many conversations that are happening between us here in Miami, the crew on board, and the relationships that we have on the ground, right? And so to be able to deliver experiences like the dinner in Ephesus, which is, you talked about crowds. I mean, what do we do in Ephesus?
Yeah, you have the whole library for yourself, right?
Exactly.
And you have, this is so magical. It's you gotta see it. You just have to experience it, because a beautiful picture, a video, our description of it doesn't do it justice, because if you're there, you will think about it. I can't believe I'm
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
because this incredible dinner experience in an open sky open space in the library, and at some point in time then the moon came up behind the library, and I was like, there's some
Magical.
guy behind there and it's pulling up the moon, but it was so big coming up, and then you have the orchestra, our guests coming back from that experience back to the ship. The crew is waiting then outside of the ship and does the welcome back. They are so happy. They are so, energized by it, that even when I'm standing there and I'm just looking at it, it's like that's exactly why we do what we do here at Windstar.
Yeah.
It's like that's the core, right?
Yeah.
This
And
is
there's
it.
no AI, there's no video, there's nothing that can take that moment or replicate it for you. You have to
Yeah.
experience it for yourself.
It's exactly right. It's exactly
Yeah.
right.
It's a very special moment in your life, and I
Yeah.
think that the most important thing. I mean, you can go visit Ephesus in the daytime, but having a concert for you, for only Windstar guests, this is spectacular.
Spectacular.
And when we met at the 40th anniversary, the moon came out as well, Christopher.
I know.
And I have this picture. It's in my favorite, and it will always stay out there with the menu, etc., with the theater at the background, thinking that 2,000 years ago, some people were doing trade and were discussing, chatting, and we're there having a dinner with the classical music on the background. Is stunning.
You're honoring
Anyway.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, and when you speak to our club members, our loyal club members who've been there multiple times, right? They love the cruise. I mean, I've spoken to somebody recently and said it never gets old. It never. They've done it multiple times, but the one thing is you gotta do it at least once.
Yes.
You will speak for years about it. It's such a lasting impression.
Yeah.
And that's what it does.
Absolutely.
And there are so many more things to discover.
And that's what great segue into
Yeah.
my next question, because we've talked a lot about Turkey, obviously, because of your pride and joy and of a destination and your experience in the port operations and development of these ports. But I know you spent some time in Cruise Med, and there's so many other destinations to see around this region of the world. And so I would love for you to talk about, what we do at Windstar Cruises that you feel something that would be very attractive for our people to know.
First of all, MedCruise is an amazing association representing 150 ports from 22 countries. It's the largest port association, and I was super happy to be their president and representing them for 3 years until 2024. And there are many destinations, unknown destinations, some ports who are eager to welcome the ships. The thing I like also is that they are really faithful to their cultures and their community. And I think that this is where sustainability is going as well. And where actually we can be a bridge, the ports can be a bridge between the local community and these cruise ships too. So for instance, Palma, or actually Roses region in the southern part of Costa Brava, Roses port in Palma, I'm sorry for my friends, there in Costa Brava. They have the ability to welcome 2 ships, but they don't. They take only one ship per day. And they're just working with the itinerary planners so that actually the whole schedule is very nice and is not congested. So everyone has a different way of welcoming the beautiful ships, and it's not for the big size ships, obviously. There are many different ports like that, and 54% are islands. Of the members are islands. So there are so many things to discover for Windstar.
And the best way to go and explore so many beautiful destinations that are ready to welcome our guests on board is through a ship, because you talked about islands, and so you don't want to be getting on a plane, you cannot get on a train. And so if you want to explore these remote destinations of Europe that you still have not been to, I mean, you're absolutely going to have to sail with us in Windstar.
That's the best way.
Yeah, it is. There's no other way. In your beautiful private yacht with amazing crew on board.
And talking about crew, the crew is fantastic on board
Yes.
Windstar. I mean, I had seen the same crew members over the years, and it's like a family in a way. And I would like to emphasize that the member ports are attaching a lot of importance to welcome them. And I created a survey so that I could understand what the ports were doing for the crew
Yeah, sure.
members.
Yeah.
And we realized that, well, they were giving by 75%, for instance, free Wi-Fi because they want to get connected with their family members, which is so important. But they are giving also many other support, like actually health, transportation to the sites, etc. So that's really important, that to feed this ecosystem in the ports.
I do remember that actually in Turkey, missed the port, but what you are saying is so true. When we go to some of the Turkish ports, the owners of a huge water park gives free tickets to our crew so that the crew can go there and enjoy
God, it's
an
amazing.
afternoon at the water park. And I think that speaks to the partnership we have with our local operators, who are not, obviously looking after our guests and they're creating great experiences, but they're also looking after our crew, and that's always
Yeah.
important to us as well. And
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes.
that. You see, I'm learning always something new here.
They are the silent heroes because really,
Yeah.
when we were actually at home during the pandemic, they are the one who made this cruise industry stand alive. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
What a beautiful community that we're all part of. And such a pleasure to have you here in our office here today, Figen. Thank you so much. But the last question I do want to ask you, because I ask everyone, if you needed to recommend one itinerary for our listeners, their first ever itinerary with Windstar Cruises, what itinerary do you think that should be? Anywhere in the world.
I think it would be the Med,
Yes.
because you have the ability just to taste the water, swimming in the water.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think it would be the Med.
I agree with you. They call him Mr. Tahiti. I love to say I'm now Mrs. Mediterranean because I always recommend the Med. I think the waters in the Caribbean are beautiful, but until you've experienced the waters of the Mediterranean in the summer with on board our ships, so that you
With
can
the
jump off the
splash.
marina in our water toys.
It's pretty special.
It is
It-
special, and I think we cannot wait to welcome you back, Figen. You're always welcome back to our offices,
Thank
of
you.
course, and on our podcast.
you very
and we
much.
cannot wait to welcome you all. Chris, thank you so much for
Thank you.
co-hosting
Thank
today.
you.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
you've been
It was
amazing.
fantastic.
You're gonna have to. So, for those of you watching and listening, you want to have Chris come back and dedicate his time. He is very, very busy. But if you want to have him come back, please let us know in the comments and sections. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here, Figen, and great job, Janet, as always.
Very Janet.
It's a fantastic podcast.
Thank
So
you.
really
Thank
happy
you
to
all.
be
I hope
here.
you're all enjoying it, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.